Hey friends, for this week's Mental Health Monday, we're going to talk about coping versus escaping. As you ask the question, when stress happens in your life, do you cope with it or do you try to escape from it? Escaping can take a whole bunch of different forms, whether it's reaching for the remote, getting lost in a TV program. Maybe after a long, hard day, your natural instinct is to reach for a bottle, whether it's alcohol or pills. Still others, it's the phone. And you find yourself scrolling to kind of just unwind. In a lot of cases, you might find yourself scrolling for longer than you intended, or even visiting websites that you never wanted to visit in the first place. If any of this sounds familiar, you might even be saying to yourself, well, I need to stop, or I didn't mean to do it that long, or I need to find better ways of coping, but every time the stress happens, you keep going back to that. You see, a lot of our society is based on escaping. A lot of the technology, the entertainment offered to us is built to offer us a way of escape. But what I want to share today is this, is that healthy people find a way to cope with stress. Unhealthy people seek to escape from it. Now, not wanting to process painful, difficult emotions, it's just how our brains are wired. We want to avoid them. And in many cases, there's people carrying some very painful memories, some real brokenness, and it can be overwhelming at times. And especially if it goes back years, we just want to avoid those feelings and not feel them and not be aware of them. And in a lot of cases, people who have been through some painful things grew up in a situation where you were never taught how to process them, how to talk through them, how to cope with them. And you end up escaping rather than coping. And when we look at the Word of God, we find that David was no stranger to trauma, whether it was early in his family dynamics, whether it was on the run, being hunted, later in life when his family was falling apart, even some ways because of his own decisions. He was no stranger to trauma. And this is reflected in many of the Psalms. We see that when David goes through stuff, all those different emotions, many of the Psalms reflect those emotions. And what David did was he took that trauma, he took that pain, he turned it into a prayer, and he wrote down those prayers. And it's an amazing thing, a beautiful thing, that many of the Psalms that we have in our own Bibles are a reflection of David coping with that pain in the way that he knew how to do and crying out to God. And now we have those same prayers as a way for us to cope and to cry out to God as well. And so this is one example of coping that we have. Now, back to the original question. Do you cope with your pain or do you try to escape from it? In the next few weeks, we're going to talk about what it means to cope and how we can do that in practical steps. But to start the process, I want to just simply ask this question. If you're somebody that seeks to escape, what is it that you're escaping from? What's that unpleasant emotion that you're just trying to keep buried down that you don't want to deal with? And what is that emotion? What kind of things remind you of that emotion? And even to take a further step, what are the things you've been through in your life that those emotions are attached to? We're going to take this journey and we're going to become better at coping and eliminate the need to escape. God bless you.
Thank you for listening to this week's Mental Health Monday with Pastor Dan. If today's message spoke to you and you find yourself escaping instead of coping, don't carry that weight alone. Reach out for help and know there is hope. We encourage you to find a local church where you can walk this journey in community. And if you're near Ravenna, Ohio, we'd love for you to visit us at Ravenna Assembly of God. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow so you don't miss more insights from Pastor Dan. And join us again next Monday for the next episode of Mental Health Monday.